Hello everyone and welcome back to our video tutorial series for Kingdom Hearts 1. In this video, we cover the fight against the Unknown in Hollow Bastion. This optional boss becomes available after arriving in the end of the world and triggering the first cutscene there. Before we dive into the fight, let's review how we can best prepare for this mysterious adversary. If you haven't done so already, travel to the Hollow Bastion library and speak with Era 3 times to receive Curaga magic. This will let you recover the greatest amount of HP every time you cast Cure. It's recommended to have the party be at least level 70 for this fight, though you may find it more manageable at level 75 or 80. We'll keep Goofy in the party so he can use his MP gift ability. As for the other party member, you can add Beast for his high HP and attack power, or you can keep Donald for his arrow magic and extra healing support in a pinch. When it comes to keychains for this fight, there are two general options. You can prioritize your strength and magic, or equip one with a high deflection rating. In either case, the best option is Ultima weapon, which you can obtain through item synthesis. We've placed a link in the video description to our guide on how to find the materials needed to craft it. If Ultima weapon isn't an option, you can equip Oathkeeper for its strength and magic boosts, or Oblivion for an even greater strength boost at the expense of your MP. For keychains with a higher deflection rating, your best option is Divine Rose. You can receive it from Belle on the second floor of the Hollow Bastion library. Most of the Unknown's attacks have a Thunder attribute, so equip accessories that boost the party's HP, defense, and thunder resistance. Thundaga rings and Thundagon bands are perfect for this. You can purchase both from the accessory shop in Traverse Town. For abilities, be sure to equip Guard, Counterattack, Dodge Roll, MP Haste, MP Rage, Second Chance, and Leaf Bracer if you have them. Other abilities that are great to have equipped to Sora for this fight are Critical Plus, Hurricane Blast, Slapshot, Combo Master, Cheer, and Strike Raid. You can obtain Strike Raid by winning the Pegasus Cup with the entire party. We don't want to equip Combo Plus or Air Combo Plus, and we'll explain why later in the video. Be sure to equip Goofy's MP gift ability. He can use it to expend 2 of his MP and restore 3 MP for another party member. If available, equip Goofy's Second Chance, Cheer, MP Haste, and MP Rage abilities as well. If you choose to keep Donald in your party, equip the same abilities to him as you did Goofy, and equip Leaf Bracer too. If you swapped Donald out for Beast, unequip his Furious Bellow attack and equip Second Wind instead. You can also equip Critical Plus, but you'll need to use 2 AP ups from the items menu, or equip an accessory to Beast that increases his AP. Enter the Customize menu and add Gravity, Arrow, and Cure Magic to your shortcuts. And finally, enter the Items menu and equip as many Elixirs and Mega Elixirs to Sora as you can. You should also equip your other party members with Mega Potions. These will come in handy during a crucial moment during the fight. When you're ready, enter the Dark Portal in the back of the Castle Chapel. This will be a long, in-depth analysis of this fight, so feel free to jump around using the video chapters to find the info that you're looking for. Now we're going to walk through each phase, reviewing how to avoid each of the Unknown's attacks and finding where and when he's open to damage. When the fight begins, you can summon Tinkerbell to grant the party HP regen and give Sora a one-time save from KO. In phase 1, you'll see 3 attacks, a 2-hit combo with his ethereal blades, a square front-facing barrier, and a set of 2 large energy orbs. The 2-hit combo can be avoided by staying just outside his strike zone, but if you want to deal damage in his opening, you'll need to be close to him after his second strike. You can use Guard at the right time to deflect both strikes, but if you're using a Keyblade with a low deflection rating, the knockback will prevent you from attacking before he makes his next move. If you're using a high deflection Keyblade, you can counterattack to stagger him after guarding against that second strike. This is a great method for dealing counterattack damage with a keychain like Divine Rose, but keep in mind that your ground combo finisher is typically too slow to keep him staggered. You can also get a stagger by jumping behind him during his second strike and dealing a complete air combo. This is my preferred method because Sora's 3-hit air combo is faster than his 3-hit ground combo. The Unknown can recover from stagger very quickly, so each hit of your combo needs to be dealt as quickly as possible. The Unknown will usually cast his front-facing barrier while Sora or another party member is in close range. If you or a party member touch the barrier while it's active, the Unknown will counterattack through it with his 2-hit combo. But if you circle around the barrier while it's still intact, you can strike to stagger him. This is where your party members can be problematic, as they'll often touch the barrier and cause the Unknown to counterattack. so you may want to keep an eye on where they are in relation to the barrier. You can also summon Simba, Genie, or Bambi to temporarily take your party members out of the fight so that you can focus on maneuvering around the barrier to deal damage. If you're struck by the barrier, the Unknown's first blade swing will usually pass through Sora, giving you an opportunity to guard against or jump over his second swing. When the Unknown sends out 2 large energy orbs, he'll typically aim them to detonate near Sora, but they'll detonate early if they hit a party member closer by. You can avoid them by dodge rolling to either side, but the detonations are pretty large, so you might still get caught near the outer edge. You can also high jump in between the 2 orbs before or while they detonate. We'll be using this maneuver for an exploit later in the video. If you're stuck inside the detonation, it's sometimes hard to get out of range without taking more damage, but you can cast Cure with the Leaf Bracer ability equipped to restore your HP and save some in the process. One of the best opportunities to stagger the Unknown and deal damage is by casting Gravity Magic on him. If you manage to cast Gravity just as he starts to teleport, or in between his attacks at the right time, he'll stagger long enough for you to close in and deal a complete air combo. One of the most consistent times to stagger him this way comes right after he sends out the 2 large energy orbs. Dodge roll or jump to avoid the orbs, then cast Gravity. You'll know when he's staggered when you gain 100 technique points from the Gravity spell instead of just 10. Close in with dodge roll or super glide, then deal a complete air combo. I choose to deal an air combo here because its combo finisher is much faster than a ground combo. Equipping Hurricane Blast as your air combo finisher is a great option. It's a really fast move that always results in a critical hit when it makes contact. Keep in mind that he won't stagger to every cast though. If your party members are too close to him, he'll start his next attack more quickly. There are also times where he'll send out another 2 orbs after the first pair, though he may still stagger when struck with Gravity. Just keep dodge rolling in a wide circle to avoid the orbs, then close in and deal an air combo. If you want to increase your casting speed, do a short jump before you cast Gravity Magic from your shortcuts. The airborne casting animation is shorter and gives you more time to close in and deal damage. We'll show you a way to stagger the Unknown in a loop using Gravity Magic later in the video. The Unknown doesn't really have a discernible attack pattern in Phase 1, but you can often predict his next move based on the distance between him and his target. When he's close to Sora or another party member, he likes to use his 2-hit combo and front-facing barrier, and when he's farther away, he often sends out the 2 large orbs or teleports to get closer to you. Whenever the Unknown is walking towards you, approach him in a wide circle and gradually get closer to him. This gives you the right amount of space to dodge roll and the right amount of time to react to any of his Phase 1 attacks. When he teleports closer to you, it's best to dodge roll in the direction that he teleported from just as he appears again. This will help you avoid his next attack with enough time to find his next opening. Whenever you stagger the Unknown during one of his openings, he will always retaliate immediately after taking 4 consecutive hits. This is why we chose not to equip the Combo Plus and Air Combo Plus abilities. We only want to deal 3 hits to the Unknown when staggered, with the 3rd hit being that air combo finisher. The Unknown will also retaliate after taking 8 hits if the 4-hit counter is never reached in a single stagger. This 8-hit counter also gets reset if the Unknown is staggered with Gravity Magic. It's pretty difficult to keep count of your hits during this fight with your party members in play, so just keep in mind that the Unknown might use one of his Phase 1 attacks immediately during your 3-hit combo. If the incoming attacks are overwhelming you, you can use Strike Raid and its follow-up commands to deal consistent damage to the Unknown and remain invincible while the ability is active. Just be sure to keep an eye on your MP so that you have enough to cast Cure if needed. When half of the pink HP bar is depleted, the fight will enter Phase 2, and the Unknown will introduce 3 new attacks: a ring of blue homing lasers, a long sequence of spinning blade strikes, and a command scrambling attack that saps your party's HP. He'll often summon a ring of blue lasers after teleporting away from you. You can't guard against these lasers, but they can be avoided by running to either side. There's no need to dodge roll or super glide as long as there's enough distance between you and the ring. If you're struck by the ring or the incoming lasers, dodge roll to the sides or cast Cure with the Leaf Bracer ability equipped to avoid further damage. His long flurry of spinning blade strikes can be handled in several ways. You can constantly dodge roll away from him or use super glide to avoid the attack, or guard against it with a high deflection keyblade. but there's an opening you can take advantage of if you're close by at the end of the attack. Here's how to pull it off. When his attack begins, dodge roll until you see him close in on Sora and place his blades together. That's your cue to high jump and glide until the end of his attack. Keep in mind that this is a standard glide and not a super glide. You'll want to start your jump after dodge rolling about 4 or 5 times. At this point, you have 2 options to stagger him. Your first option is to drop from your glide just as he makes his last strike and deal an air combo before you reach the ground. It'll take some practice to get the timing right, and you'll want to drop from your glide so that you're behind him after his last spinning strike. Your second option is to cast Gravity as you drop from your glide. You'll get the full stagger here if Gravity makes contact as he starts to teleport. The only exception is when he uses this move twice in a row, which should only happen once during Phase 2 and once during Phase 3 after his Desperation move. Starting in Phase 2, the Unknown can hit Sora with Invitation to Nothingness. This attack scrambles the command menu and prevents Sora from using any attacks, magic, items, or summons until you select the release option. It also saps the entire party's HP until you hit release, so it can be truly devastating if you're struck by this when you have little HP to start with. Here are a few things you can do to mitigate damage and avoid the attack altogether. The Unknown uses this attack randomly after teleporting and in between his other moves, so it's hard to know when it's coming next. If you dodge roll with just the right timing, you can avoid it and move in for an air combo. If he teleports towards you, jumping at the right time can help you avoid it too, and it'll put you in a perfect position to deal an air combo if he misses. You can also cast Cure with the Leaf Bracer ability equipped, or use Strike Parade just as he attacks for the same effect. And just so you know, you'll never see this attack while the Simba, Genie, or Bambi summon is active. He only uses it when your party members are in play. If you're hit by this attack, there are still ways to survive it. If you summoned Tinkerbell earlier in the fight and she's still active, her regen ability will slow down your HP slip, and she'll save you 1 time if your HP reaches 0. While Sora can't use items during this time, your party members can. If you equip them with Mega Potions, they'll use these to restore your HP while the curse is active. The Unknown will usually follow up with his sequence of Blade Strikes, so keep moving around with dodge roll while you search for the release command. The command scramble will slow down the longer it's active, giving you a better chance to find the release option if you started with high HP. If you accidentally hit the shock option, it'll reduce Sora's HP even more, so be careful. You can make things easier by repeatedly pressing the pause button to find the release command. You can pause buffer like this until the release command is where your cursor is, then unpause and quickly select it to remove the curse. I usually try to avoid selecting release on the green command option because pressing that button will always send your party members to attack first, and when you press it the 3rd time per release, the option will have already reverted back to shock. When half of the yellow HP bar is depleted, the fight will enter Phase 3, and the Unknown will use his Desperation move, All Vanity. He'll surround himself in a force field and send out an array of lasers that randomly move around. You can't damage him while this move is active, so you'll need to focus on dodging to avoid damage. I recommend staying in one place instead of running around, as it makes it easier to dodge the lasers. If a laser approaches you at ground level, you can jump and strike the barrier to extend your airtime and let the laser pass under you. If you're having trouble keeping track of incoming lasers, you can pause buffer during this move to better gauge when to jump or dodge roll. The Unknown starts to use Invitation to Nothingness more often during this phase, and especially right after his force field fades, so be ready to dodge roll or cure to avoid it. The only other new attack in Phase 3 is an upgrade to his homing lasers. The Unknown will create a wide arc of red lasers, followed by the usual ring. Run in the opposite direction that the Unknown travels to avoid the barrage. If you're struck by a laser, keep dodge rolling or cast Cure with the Leaf Bracer ability equipped to avoid further damage. There's an opportunity to constantly stagger the Unknown and keep him stuck in a loop using summons and gravity magic. Summon Simba, Genie, or Bambi to remove your other party members. I prefer using Bambi because the MP Restoration Orbs that he drops will allow us to cast more magic. The next time you stagger the Unknown with Gravity, deal an air combo finisher, then quickly jump away from him and cast Gravity magic again. If done correctly, the Unknown will send another 2 orbs that you can jump over and then deal another air combo. This loop only works if you put enough distance between Sora and the Unknown after your combo finisher. If you can get the pattern down, you can deal up to 5 hits during each stagger by striking twice, dropping to the ground, then jumping again for a full air combo. This loop will always break at the start of Phase 2 and 3, when the Unknown uses his flurry of blade strikes and all vanity, but you can start the loop again the next time you stagger him. If Bambi runs out of MP and your party members return, you can summon Simba or Genie to keep the loop going as long as you have the MP to spare. Use an elixir in between the Unknown's attacks if you're running low on MP. That was a lot of info, so let's recap with the key takeaways. In Phase 1, approach the Unknown in a wide circle as you get closer to him. Run around his barrier and strike with an air combo during his opening. Cast gravity magic to stagger him after he sends out the large orbs. And don't be afraid to use the strike rate ability if the Unknown's attacks get overwhelming. For Phase 2, dodge roll or run to the sides to avoid his ring of lasers. Use dodge roll or high jump and glide to avoid his flurry of blade strikes, and keep your HP high for invitation to nothingness. Use pause buffering to find the release command if you're hit with this attack. And for Phase 3, stand in front of his force field and use your jump to avoid the lasers during all vanity. Run in the opposite direction of the Unknown to avoid his barrage of lasers, and use an elixir whenever your MP gets low. This can be a difficult and chaotic fight, but knowing when to evade and when to strike will give you a major advantage. Follow these tips and tricks to make defeating the Unknown an absolute certainty. And that's the end of this tutorial. If you have any advice or tips of your own, share them with us in the comments section. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more content. And as always, you can find the best online walkthrough and guides to the Kingdom Hearts series at KHGuides.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.